But anyway, I'm very impressed with WomenLEAD. I think it's great that you guys are doing that. And I just spoke, in fact, I was just saying to several others, I spoke at George Washington University a week ago Saturday, and it was all MBA women, and it was very exciting to see women. Things are very different from when I was in college, so it's very exciting to see all of you. So today I'm going to highlight for you the 20 years that I had in the retail sphere. I was at the end, the last 5 years of that, Executive Vice President of Neiman Marcus. I lived in Dallas. And then I tossed the corporate world aside when I was at the peak of my career. Took a major risk. I moved to Houston and I started my own cosmetics company, Laura Mercier, which I hope most of you have heard of. And Neiman Marcus in my third year bought half of my company. They sold Neiman Marcus in 2005. And so I had to sell. They owned half of my company and they owned half of Kate Spade. You may know that brand as well. Kate sold to Liz Claiborne and I sold to Amway. So we'll talk about that. I took a break. I lived in Italy for a while, and then I have joined with the family that owned Neiman's. They started a private equity group. They live in Boston, and I buy and sell companies with them now. So I'm in my third career. I did retail. I was an entrepreneur and had my own cosmetics company. And now I'm in private equity, which I would have never thought of when I was your age that this would all happen. People say, did you always want to run a cosmetics company? No. I mean, so there's many things you're not thinking of yet that will probably happen. But for me, it began some decades ago when I was a senior at the University of Alabama. I thought I had a very impressive resume, and I wrote what I thought was a good cover letter, and I sent it to the store in which I wanted to work, because I was majoring in retailing, and it was Foley's department store based here in Houston. And I received the following letter, which I have framed in my office to this day, and it read, "Dear Miss Gurwitch, we at Foley's interview on 8 select college campuses, and the University of Alabama is not among them. We thank you for your time and wish you best of luck in your future career. Sincerely, Jake Lewis, May 8, 1974. My father, sensing my deep disappointment, said, "Janet, toss the letter, fly to Houston, and try in person to get that job." I did just that. I got the job. I was in Foley's executive training program, remained there for 17 years, left as one of 2 women on Foley's senior board. I don't know whatever happened to Jake Lewis, the author of my rejection letter, but I kept the letter, and it's typed on an old-timey typewriter with Foley's old logo, but I keep it, and I have it framed, to remind me that throughout one's career, there will always be people who will doubt you, and they will doubt your strengths. Whether you are launching your own cosmetics company and saying you're going to base it in Houston, or applying for a new job, you must first believe that you deserve the position, you deserve the promotion, or that your idea has validity, and then you must persevere, persevere, persevere. After 17 years, I left Foley's to join Neiman Marcus, and for me, that was a real game changer. Because for the first time, I was exposed to the global business world. At Neiman's, I spent 9 weeks a year in Europe because we bought so much of our merchandise there. I was so fortunate to meet many of the entrepreneurial families. I met the Gucci's, the Ferragamos, the Ernst family, the Prada family. I worked closely with Oscar de la Renta, Donna Karan, Michael Kors. And what I learned from all of these people is how they took such pride in their craftsmanship and in their branding. Everything they did was about their brand, including Neiman Marcus. Neiman Marcus had become 100 years old when I was there, and there's a reason something makes it for a century, and it's because of how well they brand. So it all started clicking for me. My Neiman Marcus job brought me into a world that was very chic, the luxury tier. I literally went from planning one-day red apple sales at Foley's to sitting on the front row center at fashion shows in New York, Paris, Milan, opposite Anna Wintour, who was on the journalist side, the editor of American Vogue. In 1994, when Princess Diana hosted a dinner for 10 during London Fashion Week for American top retailers, I was in attendance. In Paris, I had my own driver. I stayed in a suite at the Ritz Hotel. It was filled with bouquets of roses, cashmere shawls, because I was at the top of Neiman Marcus and the designers wanted to be nice to me. And I loved chocolate. And when they heard I loved chocolate, Maison du Chocolat was all in my room, and I weighed 12 pounds more at Neiman Marcus. I was a long way from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, my hometown, and my college town of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and I could not have been happier. Neiman Marcus at that time had revenues of $2 billion, and it was a heady trip for me. My goal was to be the first woman CEO of Neiman Marcus, and I was one position away from that goal. So you may ask, why would one leave one of the best jobs in the world of retailing in the United States, the executive vice president of Neiman Marcus, with all its accoutrements, to use my own money to start a business at the age of 40? Why would I forfeit my first-class lifestyle for a middle seat in Coach? Well, I did it because I had one idea, and I say it's the only idea I ever had. I had one idea, and I haven't had one since, but I decided, if not now, when? And I think, and for those of you who maybe will be entrepreneurs in the future, I truly thought to be an entrepreneur, you needed to be Steve Jobs. I thought you had to truly create something. I thought you had to create Google, Facebook, eBay. It didn't initially enter my mind that you could just design a better shoe and call it Manolo Blahnik. You could create a better oven and call it Viking. Create a great undergarment. Instead of calling it girdle, call it Spanx. Or an iconic coffee and call it Starbucks. So what I realized that even in mature industries, there is freshness, there is innovation, there is opportunity for well-executed ideas. So I was at Neiman's, which was a wonderful vantage point because I could see so many things happening. And I could see for the first time in decades some change in the cosmetics industry. I had no particular love of cosmetics. I truly loved fashion. But in the end, I am a business person, and I went for a great opportunity. I saw that Chanel and Estee Lauder were being sort of moved aside a little bit by some new brands, Bobbi Brown being one of them. Bobbi's brand had started to take off, and you're so young, you think Bobbi Brown's been there forever, but it had not. And there was something very exciting to me. I knew Bobbi, she was the founder of her company, and it meant a lot to me that here was a living person behind a brand. Because Estee Lauder, although they said she was living, no one had seen her in 20 years. So I don't know if she's living or not, but that was the story. Bobbi had a very intelligent approach to cosmetics. She said, she would tell me, she said, I just want women to look the best they can look. I don't want them to think they can necessarily look like the cover of the magazine if it's Gwyneth Paltrow or Beyonce or whatever, but I'm going to give them the tools and the makeup to look the best they can, and I liked that. And Bobbi really became a catalyst for me. Then I was attending the fashion shows in London, and I went to Harvey Nichols, a great department store in London. It was a Tuesday in October, and I noticed all these women, variety of women at one counter, and they were all at the MAC counter. And then it hit me, it's not just Neiman Marcus, it's global, it's big. Women are looking for something new. So I decided that I would do my own cosmetics company.